gentlemen, once again, as always, Miguel Magallon! And as always, President, Founder, CEO of Magallon Entertainment! Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. The General is back in the fucking building. Ladies and gentlemen, the General is back on the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, the General is back in the motherfucking war zone. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, as I told you guys last week, I've been gone for a week. I've been preparing for this day for 7 straight days now. It feels like I've been preparing for it for 12 straight months now, honestly, really. But I told you guys last week I was going to take a week off. I was going to start preparing with my research team and diving into a lot of the data, looking at a lot of the numbers, analyzing a lot of market expectations and what a lot of, commentaries have to say. And we've been doing a lot of work here behind the scenes at Magallon Entertainment for the last 7 days. Me and my research team just grinding, putting in the work, calculating the numbers, looking at the data, calculating projections and forecasts, and listening to all the different analysts. And we are ready now. We are fully prepared. We are fully locked and loaded, and we are 100% ready to go for tomorrow morning when Jay Powell and the Federal Reserve come out and they tell us what they're going to do with interest rates, what they're going to do with the future Fed's funds rate, what they're going to do with mortgage rates, what they're going to do to this U.S. economy, and how they are going to navigate this quote-unquote soft landing that they're trying to accomplish, and how far are we away from the bottom? Has the bottom already happened? And what does the next 6 to 12 months look like in the stock market, in the Bitcoin market, in the crypto market, in the NFT markets, in the real estate markets, across all asset classes around the world, and what this economy is going to look like, what this country is going to look like, what is going to happen in America, in the job market, in the labor market, for the next, quarters to come, for the next 6, 12, 18 months, moving forward. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, tonight I'm going to give you my final thoughts. I'm going to give you guys my predictions, and I am going to tell you what I see happening tomorrow morning when the Fed announces their next rate hike, what I expect to hear at the press conference when Jay Powell, again, leader of not just the Federal Reserve, but at this point in the game, leader of the free fucking world and the free markets around the world. I'm going to tell you what I think he's going to say at that press conference, and I am going to tell you tonight what I expect to see in the stock market, not just tomorrow, but the day after tomorrow, the day after that, the day after that, the day after that, and how I think it's going to impact this economy, how I think it's going to impact your portfolios, how I believe that's going to impact your ability to retire early, if at all, and what the future of this economy looks like in America for the next 6 to 12 to 18 months to come. So with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, when I'm about to teach you some shit, when I'm about to educate you on shit, when I'm about to drop knowledge in this motherfucker, you already know what time it is on the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, get the pen in the pad, get the pen in the pad, get the pen and the motherfucking pads! And let us begin learning. So, first things first, what do I expect with the interest rate hikes, right? So, let's start with that. What do I expect tomorrow when it comes to the interest rate hikes? Well, right now, the market is expecting 25 basis points. It looks like it's overwhelming consensus. It feels like every jabroni on Wall Street is basically, expecting a 25 basis point rate hike tomorrow morning, on the interest rate hikes. That is basically unanimous consensus. So there really is no debate about that. I, however, will argue the bear argument. And the bear argument is, even though all of the bulls and the bears, pretty much everyone, even everyone in the middle, agrees that we're most likely going to get that 25 basis point rate hike, again, unanimous consensus. No one's here to disagree with it. However, I would point out that there are a lot of bears, including myself, and many other bears on Wall Street that believe even though 25 basis point rate hike is what's probably going to happen, there's a lot of us that honestly believe they should do 50 tomorrow. And I'm not saying that's what they're going to do. I'm not saying, like that's guaranteed. What I am saying is there are a lot of bears, myself included, that believe that's what they should do. We believe they should do a 50 basis point rate hike. We believe we should see 50 basis points tomorrow. Now, no one really agrees with that, no one really expects that. Again, the overwhelming consensus is 25 basis points right now. But I want to tell you guys right here, right now, there's a lot of bears that feel we should get 50. And the reason we should get 50 basis point rate hike instead of 25 in the eyes of the bears is because financial conditions have been loosening for the last couple of weeks now, pretty much all month. The labor market is still really, really tight. It is not great for small businesses and employers. You're still not seeing anywhere near the level of labor market participation that the Fed is basically like needing and demanding, especially in certain sectors of the economy. And you're starting to see commodity prices start to come up again. And you're starting to see oil start to ramp up. You're starting to see commodities, whether it's copper or nickel or cotton. There's a lot of different, lumber prices. There's a lot of different commodity prices that are starting to pick up steam again. And that is definitely something that the Fed does not want to see. So basically everything that they don't want is essentially happening right now. And it's been happening for the majority of the month and, to start the year. So financial conditions are loosening. Labor market participation continues to be abysmal. And commodity prices and index prices are starting to come up again. And basically everything that they don't want to see is happening right here, right now. So I think for a lot of the bears, even though we agree that they're probably, quote unquote, only going to do 25 basis point rate hike, which, in and of itself is still, semi big deal. It's not necessarily nothing. It's still a big deal. But I think for a lot of us bears, what we really want to see is a 50 basis point rate hike. Because we believe that if the Fed were to come out, theoretically, hypothetically, tomorrow and drop a 50 basis point rate hike instead of 25, we believe that would tumble this market. It would almost crash the market. It would completely catch everyone off guard. It would completely be a surprise to all market participants. It wouldn't necessarily be a shock to the bears, but it would be a very welcome surprise to the bears. And I think it would be a borderline death threat to a lot of the bulls. And I think the markets would crumble. I think market expectations and economic forecasts would be shattered and they would basically crash and collapse. And I think what you would start to see in the labor market, the job market, the Fortune 500, corporate America, Main Street, Wall Street, is you would start to see wreckage. You would start to see destruction everywhere if they were to come out and do a 50-point rate hike instead of 25, because it would catch so many people off guard and it would force everyone to rethink all of their forecasts and recalculate all of their predictions. And it would definitely come as a shock to the market, and it would definitely be, like a death hammer to this economy. At least the parts of the economy that they're still trying to get under control. So with that being said, I expect 25 tomorrow. I think we'll get 25 tomorrow, but I hope we get 50. Because I do think that is what's going to be needed. You're going to have to see something from the Fed and by this Federal Reserve that eventually will have to come as a surprise to the market in order to, I don't want to say teach the market, but in order for the market to fully understand that they are nowhere close to being done, they are nowhere near finished, and they still have a lot more work to do, which is something that they've been trying to explain to the market and market participants and investors across the country and around the world for several months now. but no one seems to believe them, or at the very least, they just don't give a fuck. Right now, the feeling on Wall Street, right now, the belief around most economists, right now, the temperature in the room is that everyone believes that the Fed is going to pause, basically in March or after March, and that they're going to start to pivot and start to cut interest rates as soon as this summer. And that in the back half of 2023, interest rates are going to be lower than they were at the start of 2023. The market is basically forecasting rate cuts, several rate cuts, sometime by summer or fall of 2023. And they believe that in March, that will be the last and final interest rate hike. And you're not going to see any more interest rate hikes after that. That basically after March, they're just going to pause. And again, by the summer/early fall, they're going to start to pivot and start to cut rates second half of 2023. The problem with that is literally every single board member of the Federal Reserve has come out for months and months and months and months and months screaming at the top of their motherfucking lungs, literally begging the market to listen to them. And they've been saying, and they've been very consistent with this. This isn't like some new thing, like groundbreaking news. This is something that they've been trying to say at every single press conference for the last 12 straight months. And that is that all of them expect interest rates are going to get at least to 5%. Let me say that again. Every single one of them, for the most part, expect interest rates are going to get to at least 5%. Not 4.5%, not 4.25%, not 4 3/4. Every board member agrees we need to get at least to 5%. And then some board members think we should go above 5% because they believe that that's how far they need to go in order to kill inflation in complete totality, which is what they want to do. They want inflation to be sub 2%. And right now we're nowhere near that. And so even though none of the board members really agree on how high interest rates should be, some of them believe it should be 5, some of them should be 5.5, some of them believe it should be 5.25, and some Fed board members think they need to get to 6% and beyond. So they don't necessarily agree where interest rates should be after the 5% mark, but what every single one of them agree on is that they need to at least get to 5% before they even consider a rate pause or a cut or a pivot or anything of that magnitude. They all agree that they need to get at least to 5% interest rates. But again, that's not what the market is telling us. What the market is telling us is that they're a bunch of pussies and they're going to back off. That they're going to get to 5.5, 5.25, maybe 5 3/4 at most. And then once they get there, they're going to pause. And then after the pause, they're going to pivot right after. And they're going to start to do rate cuts at the second half of this year. But what the Fed board members are saying is, hell no, fuck no, ain't no way in hell we're going to cut interest rates in the second half of this year. What they're saying is, right, and this is just what they're saying, so, they're going to have to prove it to the market that they mean business. But what they're saying is, okay, is that they're going to get to at least 5% minimum. No 4.5, no 4 3/4 bullshit. No, they're going to get to at least 5% minimum. And then 2, that they're going to hold interest rates regardless of how high they go, because again, some Fed board members want interest rates to go to anywhere between 5.5% to 6%. And yes, there are a lot of Fed board members that believe they need to go above 6% in order to accomplish their mission. Again, not all of them agree on how high the interest rate should go. But again, the bare minimum consensus among the actual board members themselves is that we get to 5% minimum. But the point is, regardless of how high they end up going, and regardless of where interest rates end up peaking, the second unanimous consensus belief among all the Fed board members themselves is that they should leave interest rates at an extremely high level for at least 6 to 12 months. Let me say that again. All of the Fed board members agree, they fully agree, that whenever they do pause and stop raising interest rates, that they should leave the interest rates at an extremely restrictive and highly elevated level for a prolonged period of time, meaning 6 to 12 months bare minimum. So the Fed board members are basically screaming to the market, trying to tell the market every single month, every single day, every single press conference that there's zero chance of any rate cuts happening in 2023, and that the earliest they would even consider doing a rate cut would be first half of 2024. And again, that's contingent on inflation coming down to sub 2%. Because one of the things that Jay Powell has said is it's not enough for inflation to come down to 2% on an annualized basis. It's the fact that we need inflation to come down sub 2% and stay at sub 2% for consecutive months. Meaning if it just gets to 2% inflation rates for 1 month, they're not going to do a pivot the very next week. What they're saying is even when inflation eventually does come down to that 2% mark or sub 2%, they want to see inflation come down to sub 2% for consecutive months at a time before they feel comfortable doing any kind of a rate cut or pivot. But that's not what the market is saying. What the market is predicting, what the market is forecasting, what the market is thinking is that these bitches are going to basically cave and they're going to take their foot off the gas pedal and they're basically going to withdraw, retreat, and surrender, and they're just going to start doing rate cuts immediately sometime in the second half of this year. And so there is a big divergence, there is a big disconnect between what the market is predicting, what the market is forecasting, what the market is thinking, versus what the Federal Reserve is saying and what the Federal Reserve is screaming. And the reason the market does not believe the Federal Reserve is because historically they have said one thing and then done another. Or they predicted one thing and the exact opposite happened. And the most recent fuck up that the Federal Reserve did was back in 2021 when Congress asked the Federal Reserve, hey, what's going on with this inflation thing? Is it starting to get out of control? Or, do we need to do something? What's going on? Because right now the prices of goods and services in this country are starting to skyrocket. And we knew that things were going to get expensive in America when we started to print stimulus checks and boosted unemployment and child tax credits and, all these PPP loans and all of this stimulus that we were pumping into the economy. We knew that was going to cause a spike in the price and cost of goods and services. We knew that. We understood that. But again, they thought that was the right decision. And just to backtrack a little bit here, I understand why they wanted to print so much money. I know a lot of you disagree with the amount of money that was printed in stimulus, and all the money printing that was done. But I would just like to remind you guys something that Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren said. And you guys know, I am not a big believer in Bernie Sanders, and I think Elizabeth Warren is basically wannabe Pocahontas and a fucking joke in this country. I can't believe she's still in government. I am not a big fan of Elizabeth Warren, and I am not a big believer in Bernie Sanders. And, I'm not a big supporter of AOC. I agree with some of the things they have to say, but I believe I believe most of what they have to say is just stupid as fuck, dumb as shit, and a bunch of fucking trash. Basura! But, trying to be an open-minded individual, just because I don't agree with most of the things they say, doesn't mean that I'm going to disagree with everything they say. Because again, I don't want to be a closed-minded individual. Just because I don't agree with some of the things they say doesn't mean that I have to disagree with everything they say. You understand me? So there are times when Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and AOC, there are times they say some stuff that makes sense to me, that I agree with, and that I believe as well. And one of the few things that Bernie and Elizabeth Warren, particularly those two, one of the things they said back in 2020 that really caught my eye was when a lot of people were bitching and complaining, deservingly so, rightfully so, that they were printing too much money. One of the clapbacks that Bernie had and Elizabeth Warren had was the fact that they said they were in government which is true, they were in Congress during the 2008-2009 Great Financial Crisis. And they remember being at the White House when the economy was crashing and the government was collapsing and everything was a shit show in 2008-2009. And they remember, as historians of American government and American politics, they remember the dot-com bubble. They remember the recessions of the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. Like, they are historians. They are people who study history. And one of the things that Bernie and Elizabeth Warren said was, one of the things that really frustrated them about American politics was the fact that every time there was a recession in this country, every time the country went through a depression, every time there was an economic downturn in the American economy, it always felt like the government never really did anything to help out the people when the people needed it the most. That the government pretty much let the economy fail every time and basically said, we're going to let the economy work its way out of this, and we're just going to have to, show Americans some tough love, and we're going to allow the economy to get back on its feet on its own. And maybe it takes, a year or two, maybe it takes a couple of years, maybe it takes several years, but eventually the economy is going to bounce back. But we have to let the economy do it on its own. And to them, it always felt like the American government failed to rescue or save the people every single time the government was the one that sent this country into a recession. Secondly, the thing that really frustrates Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren the most, especially looking back at the Great Financial Crisis, was the fact that one of the things that pissed a lot of people off was that you had all of these people in America losing their homes, all of these people in the workforce losing their jobs, losing their careers, losing their pensions, watching 401ks disappear left and right. And you saw a lot of people in this country during the Great Financial Crisis literally lose everything they ever had. They literally watched everything they ever worked for disappear. And there was a lot of people that ended up losing their homes, losing their families, losing their careers, losing their retirement accounts and dreams. There was a lot of people that got fucked during 2008, 2009. But you want to know who didn't get fucked during 2008, 2009? The fucking banks, the corporations, the hedge funds, the mutual funds, the Wall Street fucking firms. One of the people that ended up getting rescued and the people that ended up getting bailed out the most were who? It was the fucking money managers. The very people that fucking caused this great financial collapse. So, one of the things that really frustrated a lot of Americans and, a lot of politicians even maybe, were the fact that it was basically politicians, big banks, small banks, money managers, right? Large corporations, political, donors, campaign donors, you know how that goes. Those were the bitches that got bailed out. Those were the motherfuckers that got rescued. But the average American worker, the average American family, the average American household, they basically got left to fucking die. And you saw families across this country literally lose everything they fucking had during the Great Financial Crisis. And so one of the things that Bernie and Elizabeth Warren said during 2020 that really caught my eye was, for the first time in American history, I would like to be part of the government that ended up doing too much to help the people versus doing the status quo of being the government that didn't do anything to help the people. Because it feels like every recession in American history, every economic downturn, that this government has caused or, helped make even worse, every single time this country has gone through some shit, the government is always there to help out the big people and does nothing to save the little people. And basically always just lets the American people figure it out on their own, even if it means watching them lose everything they ever worked for. And then sitting back with their big ass fucking bailout packages sitting somewhere in the Bahamas going, oh, don't worry, they'll figure it out. The American, the American worker is strong. The consumer's strong. They just need some time to figure this out and work this out. And in a couple of years, they'll be strong again. Meanwhile, all these fucking big ass portfolio managers and institutional CEOs and all these fucking bitch ass campaign donors that, contribute to all of these fucking senators and congressmen and women's campaigns so they can get fucking elected in the first place. Don't worry, their businesses got bailed out. Their businesses got a fucking, stimulus package. Those motherfuckers were saved and rescued. But everyone else was just fucking left to fucking die and lose literally everything they ever fucking built. And so Bernie and Elizabeth Warren, they came out and said, you know what? This time we're going to do the opposite. We're still going to bail out Wall Street. We're still going to bail out the institutions. We're still going to make sure that the banks survive. We're going to do what we always do there because that's just the way the fucking game is played. But this time around, you know what we're also going to do? We're going to bail out the people. And we're going to give them stimmy after stimmy after stimmy after motherfucking stimmy. And we're going to give these people boosted unemployment. We're going to give them stimulus check after stimulus check. We're going to give them child tax credits. We're going to give them all the motherfucking moolah, dinero, feria, bread that they can fucking take. And we're going to direct deposit it into their fucking bank account month after month after month after month after month after fucking month. And we're going to hook these motherfuckers up. We're even going to help out all the small businesses this time around. Because again, how much money did the government give small businesses during 2008, 2009? How much money did the government give out small businesses during the dot-com bubble? How many fucking small business loans did the government hand out during the previous recessions in the 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s? Every economic downturn, every financial crisis, every depression, every recession, every single time this country has gone through some shit, which 9 times out of 10 was caused by the government to fucking begin with. How much money did they give to people? How much money did they give to small business owner? How many bailout packages were they given? How much fucking stimulus did we get back then? None. Zip. Nada. Not a goddamn thing, boy. They didn't give us shit. Just watched us fucking lose our houses. Watched us lose our homes and get fucking foreclosed on. Watched us lose our pensions. Watched us lose our 401ks. Watched us lose our jobs. Watched us lose our careers. Watched us, take our families and move into a homeless shelter. They watched us literally every single time before. They watched us struggle. They watched us suffer. And they watched us fucking cry at night, knowing that we lost everything we ever worked for and it wasn't fucking our fault. How many times did they help us back then? How many times did they help the American people in the past? How many times did they give us stimulus back in the day? Never, right? So Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders said, you know what? This time we're going to save everybody. This time we're going to bail out the whole damn country. This time everybody getting paid. And I get it. They printed too much. I get it. But again, just for context purposes, because I think it's important to remember this, I think there was a lot of people in Congress and Senate that knew that they were printing too much money. But I also think there's a lot of people in Congress and Senate that also said, who gives a fuck? We'll cross that road when we get there, which happens to be here and now, but we'll cross that road later. But right here, right now, if the worst thing we do is print out too much money, then fuck it. We'll be the ones that print out too much money. Because too many times in the past, we were known as the government that didn't print any money. Because we're going to let the American consumer get back on their feet on their own. And we're going to let them figure this out for themselves. Well, how about for once we do the fucking opposite? How about for once in our fucking country's history, we actually be the ones that printed too much versus none at all? Now, that doesn't mean there's not consequences with it, but I could understand their psychological need to want to overreact to the opposite side. Because when it feels like every single time we go through some shit, the government just fucking leaves us there to fucking die, it kind of just feels like, fuck, how come we don't do the opposite for once? So I could understand why they didn't care. I can understand why they just kept wanting to keep on printing. And I can understand them wanting to, especially in this social media, era, why they would want to be remembered as the government that printed too much versus the government that didn't do anything once again. You know what I mean? Because I think they would rather get blasted and, screamed at and yelled at and criticized for being the ones that printed too much money and causing all this inflation. I think they'd rather be the ones that get criticized for that than be a senator or congressman that gets criticized because they voted against stimulus and they wanted to just let all asset prices crash. You know what I mean? Because they don't want to be like the congressmen and women and senators from 0809 that watched the entire great financial crisis, happen in front of them and then did nothing to basically stop it other than bail out the banks and the hedge funds. You know what I mean? Cause all those people, none of them got reelected. And what's one of the most important things for everyone in Congress and Senate? It's to get fucking reelected. Cause that's how they get paid up in this motherfucker. Ask Nancy Pelosi. She knows. So I think I can understand. That doesn't mean I agree with it, but I just want you guys to know that I understand. And I think we should all understand why many of them were pro-stimulus and pro-fucking, boosted unemployment and pro-fucking child tax credit and pro-fucking stimmy after stimmy after stimmy after motherfucking stimmy. Because when you do shit like that, it makes a lot of the voters happy. Because even though prices are going up, as long as they keep getting that stimuli money every month, then no one really gives a fuck, right? Because you're getting paid. So prices kept going up, but motherfuckers kept getting paid. And as long as they're getting paid, they're happy. And as long as voters are happy, guess what happens? Bitches get reelected for no reason. You know what I mean? And it wasn't because they're good at their job. It wasn't because they were making America great again. It wasn't because they gave a fuck about you and me. It's that, the numbers speak for themselves. You give people free money every month, and guess what happens? You get reelected. It is what it is, America. Again, I'm not here to tell you the way the world should or shouldn't be. I'm here to tell you the way the world motherfucking is. So, with that being said, I can understand that. But then where the Federal Reserve fucks up, okay, and now we move forward, they get asked in 2021, like, hey guys, what the fuck is going on with all this inflation? And these motherfuckers get asked point blank, is inflation getting out of control? Is inflation getting out of hand? Is inflation becoming a big fucking issue in America? And you know what these bitches had to say? They sat there in front of Congress. They sat there in front of a congressional hearing. They sat there in front of the fucking Senate. And these motherfuckers had the nerve, had the audacity, had the unmitigated gall to sit there in front of the American people and with a straight fucking face say, nah, it's not that bad. ¿Sabes qué? It's here one day, it's gonna be gone tomorrow. It's, ¿cómo se llama? How you call it? It's, what was the word they used? It's transitory. Oh, it's transitory. It's only here temporarily. It's not that big of a deal. It's not permanent. It's transitory. Here one day, gone the next. ¿Sabes qué? No need to worry. No need to panic. It's gonna be alright. Not that bad. Not that big of a deal. Don't even sweat it. It's gonna be all good, baby girl. It's gonna be good. We're gonna be alright. And then all of a sudden, months and months and months and months go by. And they keep printing, keep printing, keep printing, keep printing. And then all of a sudden people start asking them, hey Fed, should you be, you guys gonna start raising interest rates anytime soon? Cause, things are getting really expensive. This economy is fucking melting up. This fucking real estate market, this stock market, the crypto market, the Bitcoin market, the meme stock market, the shitcoin market, the pinche NFT market, all it is a picture of a monkey's ass. All this shit is starting to skyrocket in value. Motherfuckers are leaving the workforce left and right. Everyone wants to retire early. Nobody wants to work anymore. Bitches are just getting paid to sit there at home on OnlyFans all day and play with their pussy all day. Motherfuckers are making all this money on side hustles, so they don't want to work minimum wage anymore. There's not enough people in the workforce. Everyone's fucking leaving. Prices of goods and services are skyrocketing, which really hurts people who are relying on fixed income because the prices of things are going up, but people's paychecks are staying the same, especially, again, when you're on fixed income. You're not necessarily getting a pay boost, are you? So things are starting to get out of control in all of these markets. Inflation is starting to skyrocket. I know you said it was a transitory thing, but ¿sabes qué? It doesn't feel transitory. It feels like it's just getting worse and worse and worse. Like, should we start to raise interest rates here and start to calm things down a little bit? You know what the Fed said? Nah, it's here today, it's gone tomorrow. It's not that bad, bro. It's not that bad. Hey, ¿sabes qué? We gonna be alright. And that was the moment they fucked up. That was the moment the market said, these bitches don't know what they're doing. These motherfuckers are dumb as fuck. These guys, man, these pinche jabronis, don't know what the fuck they're talking about. How the fuck is inflation not that bad? How the fuck can you say it's not getting out of control? How in the holy hell can you sit there with a straight face and tell me we gonna be alright? You don't see what's happening in the job market? You don't see what's happening in the labor market, in the commodity market, in the speculation market? I mean, damn. I get it. People want to make money, but should an NFT really cost $300,000? Should real estate be going up 20, 30%? You know, should all of these shit coins that don't even do anything really be going to the moon? Sit your ass down, bitch. Like, we got a lot of shit right here that don't make sense right now. But you sit here with a straight face telling me it's going to be alright. Nah, bro, it's not. These are causing long-term systemic problems and risks for the country and the economy. Bro, wake the fuck up. Stand up and do something, bro, because if you keep lagging it, it's going to mean not much work for you later. And guess what? Like a fucking petulant child, they sat on their ass and played video games all day. And then once things got out of control, they got up and they said, ooh, I think I left the stove on. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing, bro? So there's a reason why this market doesn't really believe the Fed. There's a reason why the Fed doesn't really have credibility in the eyes of the market. There's a reason why institutional investors don't believe what the Fed has to say. Because their track record isn't, it isn't spotless. It isn't the greatest. It isn't, an immaculate record. These guys, they have a shitty track record. They have a reputation of saying one thing and doing another. They have a fucking background of saying one thing and then the exact opposite happens. They have a really long history of always making things worse and fucking up shit. So, with that being said, that's kind of why you're getting that. That is why you're getting that disconnect between what the market is predicting and what the Fed is screaming and saying. And even though the Fed comes out every single month for 12 straight months and they keep telling us over and over and over and over and over and over again that we're going to get to at least 5% minimum on interest rates. And even when we end up having peak interest rates, whether it's 5.5%, 5.25%, 6.5%, 6.25%, 6% interest rates, regardless of how high we end up getting on interest rates. And again, not all of the Fed board members agree on how high interest rates should be. Some Fed board members believe we should get to 5.5%. Other Fed board members believe we should get to 6.5%. Other Fed board members believe we should go to 6, 6.25%, 5.75%. All of the Fed board members have different thoughts and ideas on how high interest rates need to be in order to get inflation down to sub 2% on a consistent basis, meaning several months of sub 2% inflation. None of them agree on how high interest rates need to get to in order to accomplish this mission. But what they all agree on is we need to get at least 5% interest rates, and then from there, whenever we do end up pausing, whatever that interest rate level is, 5, 5.25%, 5.75%, 5.5%, 6, 6.5%, 6.25%, whatever that peak is, we need to leave it there for several months for a prolonged period of time. And so this is something they've been saying, this is something they've been repeating ad nauseum, and this is something that they've been screaming about at every single interview, every single fucking press conference, every single fucking social event, and they've been telling every portfolio manager, every institutional manager, every bank CEO, every fucking major asset manager in the world, whether it's BlackRock or Blackstone or Fidelity or E-Trade or Bank of America, or Wells Fargo, Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase. They've literally been telling every major asset manager on earth, every single bank CEO, every single institutional investor, every index manager, every pension fund manager, every 401k fucking manager. They've been telling everyone that, that they speak to that they're going to get to at least 5%, probably above it. And then whenever they do top out, they're going to leave it there for an extended, prolonged, indefinite period of time, which in and of itself is going to cause massive amounts of pain and massive amounts of fucking damage. But that's what they believe they need to do in order to get inflation down to sub 2% on a consistent month over month over month over month basis before they even think about doing a rate cut or pivot. But the market doesn't believe it, because they have a bad track record, they have a fucked up history of always sending this economy into a recession, and, they're not great at predicting the future. For as smart as these motherfuckers are, they rely on a lot of lagging indicators. They never look at leading indicators. All their fucking numbers, all their data, all their CPI reports are basically based on outdated data that was like 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago. So they're never looking at the new. They're never looking at new leading indicators. They're never looking at the current numbers. They're looking at numbers from 4, 5, 6 months ago. So that's why a lot of people who are bears like me, we look at, this situation where they're trying to do a soft landing in the economy and they want things to come down in prices, but they want to do it without sending us into a recession and tanking the economy. And I'm like, what the fuck? How are these bitches going to land the plane when they're blindfolded? I mean, these motherfuckers are deaf, blind, and muted. These motherfuckers, how can a pilot land a plane when he's trying to do it blindfolded? Because he's looking at numbers that don't exist anymore. They're looking at economic numbers that show the economy, the housing market, and the commodity markets as it was 4, 5, 6 months ago, not 4, 5, 6 hours ago. How can these motherfuckers land a plane when they're not landing it in real time? That makes no fucking sense to me. That makes no fucking sense to anyone. So that's why we kind of have a dispute with the bulls, and the bulls are going to sit here and say, you know what, they're going to raise 25 tomorrow, 0 chance of a 50 basis point hike. They're going to start to do a pause sometime in either March or early June. And then after that, they're going to start to pivot sometime in July, August, September. And then after that, we're off to the races. Everything's going to go to the moon again. We're all going to get back on the rocket ship. It's time to go to Walmart and start buying your spacesuit. Because, as soon as they announce a pause, as soon as they announce a pivot, this market is going to explode. This market is going to take off. And this market rally is going to go motherfucking nuclear. The bottom is in. The bottom is over. And we're in the new bull market. It's rainbows and unicorns. Everything's going to go back up again. And it's time to fucking go back to the moon again. And the bears, we're looking at that nonsense and we're like, what in the holy fucking moly donut shop are y'all motherfuckers drinking and smoking? That shit don't make no fucking sense. The Fed does not want people to go to the moon. No! Fuck out of here with that moon boy shit. The Fed doesn't want anybody to go to the moon no more. They want your bitch ass to go back to work. That's what the fuck they want. They need your ass to go get a 9 to 5. They need your ass to go work paycheck to paycheck. They need your bitch ass to work on your hands and fucking knees to get a fucking paycheck. That's what they need. That's what they want. Right? Now again, the Federal Reserve doesn't have problems with people wanting to invest for their future and put money in their 401k and their Roth IRA and start stacking for the future and start preparing for retirement one day and all this other shit. They don't got a problem with it. What they have a problem with is motherfuckers putting all their money into like these shit coins and these NFTs and these meme stocks, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months later, all these things start to double and triple and double and triple and double and triple and quadruple, and then all of a sudden, these people make so much money on their Robinhood portfolios that all of a sudden they don't think they have to work anymore, so they quit their job. They don't want to work paycheck to paycheck anymore, especially not for that bitch-ass supervisor that treats you like shit because they think they have some kind of authority over you. And then guess what? All of a sudden they quit their job and they leave the workforce because, ¿sabes qué? They don't need to work anymore because, ¿sabes qué? They fucking made it now. They put money on Dogecoin. They put money on Shibu. They put money on GameStop. They put their portfolio on AMC, and now they ride with the apes on that monkey shit. You know, like all of a sudden these motherfuckers are getting paid left and right on all these stupid ass investments that don't even make no fucking sense, like Bed Bath & Beyond that now all of a sudden is declaring bankruptcy. No mames, who could have told you that shit was going to happen? So, you know, like all of a sudden when these little fucking retail investors are putting all their money on all this stupid shit and they're getting paid on putting on that money on that stupid shit, now all of a sudden nobody wants to go to work anymore. Now all of a sudden nobody needs a job anymore. Now all of a sudden nobody wants to work minimum wage. All of a sudden they just want to go out. They want to get turned up with the homies. They want to go fuck some baddies. They want to go, they're trying to go to the club every weekend, try to figure out where the bitch is at. You know, all of a sudden, they're going to the nice fancy dinners and they're going to the restaurant and they're going here, going there, going down to the valley on the weekends. Let's go to Vegas next weekend. Let's go to the lake. Let's go to the river. Let's go to the club. Let's go here. Let's go there. Let's go everywhere. You know what I mean? Taking shots, buying bottles, doing this and that. And everyone wants to live their best life. Why? Because they're getting paid on Dogecoin. Why? Because they're getting paid on Shibu. Why? Because they're getting paid on GameStop. Why? Because they're riding with the fucking monkeys on AMC ape shit. You know what I mean? So when you see all these markets from NFTs to cryptos to even things like Bitcoin, right? When all these things just keep going higher and higher and higher and higher, too fast, too soon, too fast, then all of a sudden motherfuckers are getting paid. But if too many motherfuckers are getting paid, then nobody wants to work for money anymore. Now all of a sudden everyone just wants to live their best life, And again, if it was just a couple people here, a couple people there, it's not a big deal to the Fed. But when it's fucking everyone everywhere, now all of a sudden that's a fucking problem. Because now all of a sudden there's not enough workers in this country. Now all of a sudden these companies, they have no one to hire, and that's why now it becomes a competitive job market for an employer's perspective. Because now all of a sudden you're a small business owner or you're an HR manager and you're trying to hire good workers, but you can't find any, and the only way to attract good talent is you're going to have to overpay for it now. And now all of a sudden, instead of paying $15 an hour, you got to hire for $20 an hour. And then instead of $20 an hour, it's got to be $25 an hour. And then instead of $25 an hour, it's got to be $30 an hour. And that's a fucking issue. Because now all of a sudden, if you're increasing your payroll costs, what does that, retroactively means? It means now you have to increase the price of your goods and services. Because now all of a sudden your payroll expenses are too high. You can't be paying all your employees $30 an hour and then charging 99 cents for a cheeseburger. You know what I mean? Like, eventually, if you're paying everyone at your fucking business, 20, 30, 40 an hour, you can't be on some fucking dollar store shit. Because now all of a sudden you're not going to break profit. You're not going to break even. You're going to be in the negative day after day, week after week, month after month, quarter after quarter, and eventually your business is going to go bankrupt. So the only way to still stay in the profit, stay in the green, keep making mula, feria, dinero, so you don't go fucking bankrupt, is if you're paying all your employees more money, guess what you have to do? You have to charge more for your products, goods, and services. But all of a sudden, that puts all these businesses in an endless cycle. Because the more the prices of goods and services go up, then all of a sudden, guess what people say? Oh, you're not paying me enough. I'm not making enough money. I want you to pay me more money again. Okay, so now what? I have to pay you $50 an hour? But if I pay you $50 an hour, guess what I'm going to have to do to my customers? I'm going to have to raise the prices on their ass too. And it's basically an endless cycle. It's an endless loophole. But why does that happen? The reason that happens is because there's not enough bitches in the workforce. There's not enough people working. There's not enough labor market participation. So, again, Market participation stays abysmal right now. There's still too many people out there on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and OnlyFans and fucking this and that on Twitter. There's too many people out here just not working, living their best life, because again, they made so much money on all that fucking crypto and Dogecoin and Shibu back when everyone was telling me it was going to go to a penny. Remember that shit? There's so many people that made so much money off that shit, and they still have money, so they don't have to go back to work. You know, if you had $100,000 in your Robinhood account right now, are you going to really work at McDonald's tomorrow morning? Probably not. Why? Because it's not a lot of money, and you have to put up with a lot of fucking bullshit at work, and, you know, for a lot of people, it's just not worth it. They're like, fuck that shit, I'm straight. I still got money left over. I'm gonna survive on that shit. And so now there's still a lot of people in the economy, whether, you know, their real estate portfolio went up, or their Bitcoin portfolio went up, or their shit coins fucking, you know, 10x and 20x and 100x, or their fucking NFT bullshit. They sold it for like 100,000. And there's still a lot of people right now with the side hustle that are still making money and still getting paid. There's still a lot of people that just refuse to work minimum wage, because nobody wants to work minimum wage anymore. It's seen as like demeaning. It's seen as embarrassing. It's seen as like humiliating, because it's not just the fact that you're not, you know, getting paid a lot of money. It's the fact that minimum wage jobs are fucking bullshit. You have to put up with a lot of fucking stress, a lot of fucking drama, and a lot of fucking just stupid shit all fucking day. And to a lot of people, to them it seems like it's not worth the money, especially if you can make more money doing something else. You guys see my point? So, with all that being said, I think market participation is still way too low. Labor market participation is way too low. The unemployment rate is way too low. They need the unemployment rate to be somewhere between 4.5% to 5.5%. Right now it's still at 3.5%. So there's still way too many open jobs and not enough people willing to do them. Right? And I get it. Nobody wants to clean toilets at Jack in the Box. Nobody wants to work at McDonald's. Nobody wants to flip burgers at fucking Burger King. Nobody wants to make a foot long at fucking Subway. Nobody wants to work at Jack in the Crack. I fucking get it, America. But the problem is, somebody fucking has to. You know? Somebody needs to pick up the trash in the morning. Somebody has to go fucking teach at the high school. Somebody has to go fucking do this. Somebody has to go do that. There are still really important jobs in this country that need to get done. And there's a lot of businesses and corporations that are still struggling trying to find enough workers. And so on one hand, you have companies like Amazon and Microsoft and Facebook and Google. They're laying off, you know, thousands of employees left and right. But on the other side of things, you have McDonald's and Jack in the Box and In-N-Out over here like, yo, we need more help. There's not enough people here to fucking flip the pizza. And people are like, nah, bro, I'm not working there unless you pay me $100,000. And that's like that's the fucking audacity people have now. It's like, if you're not paying $20-25 an hour, nobody wants to work for you. If you're not offering at least $100 grand a year, then to some people it's not worth it. Right? Because the moment you say, oh, we're hiring for entry level positions, entry level just means minimum wage. And nobody wants to work minimum wage. They're like, fuck that shit. I'm not fucking cleaning toilets all day. Fuck you, bro. I'll go do something else. I'll go be an Instagram model. Fuck out of here. But you guys see my point, right? So, on one hand, yeah, you have Microsoft and Tesla and Amazon and Facebook and Google and IBM and Intel, and it's just like hundreds of companies now just doing layoffs. And, you know, they're laying off a lot of people that used to make how much? $50, $60, $70, $80, $90, $100,000 a year. Some of these people used to make $200,000 a year. And guess what? They're walking them right out the door and they're pointing them across the street. Go work at Starbucks. Go work at 7-Eleven. Go work at In-N-Out. Go work at Subway. Go work at Burger King. Go work at fucking, you know what I mean, the Quickie Mart. Oh, nah, bro, I ain't doing that shit. That's just beneath me, dog. That shit's humiliating. That shit's embarrassing, dog. Fuck that shit. I ain't gonna do that shit. Nah, bro. Make someone else do that shit. I'm not picking up someone else's trash. And so people just have like this attitude, this fucking bitch ass mentality where they refuse to fucking do those jobs. But the problem is somebody has to fucking do it, America. And if it's not going to be you, fine. But it's going to be somebody, your mom, your dad, your grandma, your grandpa, your brother, your sister, your nephew, your daughter, your son, your niece. Somebody's going to fucking do that job. Someone's going to clean that toilet. Someone's going to flip that burger, and someone's going to deliver that pizza, and someone is going to pick up my trash on Friday mornings. So that's where we are right now. And again, I'm not saying it's fair. I'm not saying it's not fair. What I'm saying is it needs to fucking happen, America. Because otherwise, you end up in what? This endless cycle of, oh, well, I'm not going to work unless you pay me $20 an hour. Okay, well, if I pay you $20 an hour, then I have to charge my customers more. Okay, so I charge the customer more. But then guess what happens? Oh, everything's getting more expensive, so I need you to pay me more than $20 an hour. Okay, here's $30 an hour. Oh, shit. But if I pay you $30 an hour to do basic ass fucking work, now I got to charge my customers even more again. Okay, so I do that. But then you come back 6 months later, oh, I need another pay increase. Now I want $40 an hour. Well, then when does it end? Right? Used to be minimum wage was like $7 an hour. Then it went to $10 an hour. Then $11 an hour. Then $12 an hour. Then $15 an hour. Now fucking Chipotle's offering $17 an hour. I see people at fucking In-N-Out getting paid $20, $25 an hour. People at In-N-Out. I'm not knocking it. Y'all know I'd be there on the fucking routine. But y'all get my point. $10 an hour used to be minimum wage. You talk to older people, they remember when minimum wage was $6, $7 an hour. $5 an hour. Now the sun went to 10, to 11, to 12, to 15. Now fucking Chipotle offering 17. Starbucks offering 18, 19. In-N-Out's offering 20, 22, 25. I mean, damn. It ain't gonna be much longer until we start offering all these fucking pinche babosos 30 an hour, 35 an hour, 40 an hour. And then y'all want to sit here and bitch, it's so expensive. Everything's so expensive. Oh my God. All the prices keep going up. Oh my God. It's so expensive now. Yeah. Because every time you keep raising the wages, guess what the landlord keeps doing? Raising the motherfucking rent. That's what the fuck he doing. Shit. Your landlord want to see wages go up. Your landlord wants to see inflation stay high. Your bitch ass landlord hoping you get a fucking pay increase at work. Cause every fucking year, like clockwork, he gonna tax that ass. You could believe that shit, America. So, there you go. That's why as a bear, when I see the economy and the stock market and crypto and Bitcoin and now all the meme stocks are fucking ripping and running again, I see all that dumb, stupid shit. The first thing I think is, this market doesn't believe you, Fed. Yo, J Powell, let me holler at you for a minute, pimpin'. Let me talk to you real quick. Hey, bro, I don't know if you've seen this, but since the year started, the stock market's going up. Since the year started, shitcoins are going up. Since the year started, Bitcoin's starting to rally again. Since the year started, people saying real estate's going to be okay again. Since the year started, all the economists are bullish again. Bro, you want bitches to go back to work? You want labor market participation? You want these motherfuckers to come back to the financial plantation? Y'all know how I feel about this shit. Physical slavery is dead and gone. Financial slavery is alive and well. Don't ever fucking forget that, America. So, I'm looking at this shit and I'm like, hell nah, Fed. If you're serious about killing inflation, if you're serious about getting inflation under control, if you're serious about accomplishing your goals and your mission and your fucking mandate as the Federal Reserve, then fuck 25 basis points, you should do 50. Because if you do 25, the market's going to keep thinking that there's going to be a pause coming soon and that you're going to start to pivot soon. If you start to take your foot off the pedal here and now, if you start to back down like a bitch now, if you give any indication that the worst is over, oh, this motherfucker's gonna rally. This market is gonna fucking boom. This economy's gonna explode and asset classes around the world are gonna go fucking nuclear up in this motherfucker. And then what happens? Everyone stops working again. Why? Because that shit's beneath me, dog. I don't need that shit. I'm getting paid again now. Shoot. Okay. And then what? Then we end up in a fucking endless loophole again, where bitches are out here saying, I need 20, 25 an hour. Then they want 30, 35 an hour. Now there's some people saying, I need 40 to 50 an hour because rent's so expensive. You see the point? So, you want motherfuckers to go back to work? You want people to calm down with all that stupid ass spending? You want people to go out to the restaurant less and less? You want people to take less vacations? You want people to go back to work working minimum wage jobs? You want the landlords to start lowering rent prices because rent prices are through the fucking roof right now? You're going to have to increase the unemployment rate. You're going to have to, first things first, you're going to have to get all these bitches who are on the sidelines in quote unquote early retirement enjoying their best fucking life. All these Shibu bitches and Dogecoin motherfuckers and GameStop fucking assholes and all these fucking AMC fucking monkey ass ape shit. You're going to have to get all these pinche babosos that made all this money on all this stupid ass shit that never fucking made sense to begin with, but nobody said anything because fuck it, it's just going higher, dog. Gotta keep buying it. It's going to the moon, bro. You gotta get all these moon boys off the fucking sidelines, and you gotta get their ass back to fucking work, right? And you're gonna have to increase the unemployment rate. But right now, the unemployment rate is really low. Right now, there's still too many jobs and not enough people who are willing to do them. You know? Jack in the Box and McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's and Arby's, Mr. We have the meats, yeah. But you don't have any customers or employees right now, do you? So all these motherfuckers are out here talking about, oh, we need workers, we can't find workers, yeah. Because nobody wants to work for minimum wage. But the problem is you can't offer more than minimum wage because then you have to raise your prices. But you don't want to raise your prices because if you raise your prices too much, no one will fucking eat there anymore, will they? You know? Is anyone really going to go to Subway if a footlong's $30? No. Just stay at home and make your own fucking footlong. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying. So a lot of these businesses, you know, they refuse to pay more and offer more because they don't want to raise prices on consumers. Because if they raise the prices on the customers aren't going to go there anymore. So they have to keep wages low. But if you keep wages low, nobody wants to fucking work for you and you can't hire anybody. And then the few people that you do hire are all fucking dumbasses that you got to fire a month later. By the way, there's a lot of managers right now in the country that say they have a real problem with the current workforce. Because it said the current workforce is full of dumbasses that shouldn't be, you know, that they shouldn't have hired to begin with. And then when you ask the manager, well, how come you don't lay that motherfucker off? They say, because if I lay him off, I'm not going to be able to replace him for another 2 to 3 months because nobody wants to work right now. So now a lot of managers are stuck with a lot of fucking just dumbasses, a lot of fucking pendejos and babosos in the workplace, but they're scared to fucking fire them because if you let that person go and you can't find anyone to replace them for 2 or 3 months, then who the fuck's going to do that job? The manager. And the manager doesn't want to do it. He just wants you to do it all day for him. Right? That's why they're the manager. So now all of a sudden you're in this like standstill. So this year, to start 2023, all of a sudden, January 2023, it's been looking nice. It's been looking real nice. Bitcoin's going back up. Cryptos are fucking mooning again. Meme stocks are fucking exploding again. Real estate's picking up again. Everyone's bullish again. Why? Because they think the Fed's gonna back off. They think the Fed is gonna withdraw. They think the Fed is gonna pivot. They think the Fed is gonna retreat. And they think the Fed is gonna fucking cut rates faster than expected. And so if I'm the Fed, my hope is that they do 50 basis points tomorrow. I don't think they will. I think they're going to do 25 basis points. And, you know, if it was me, I would do 50. If you do 50 basis points, in my opinion, then you send a strong, clear message that we're nowhere near a pivot. We're nowhere near a pause. We're not stopping anytime soon. And we're going to do 0 rate cuts in 2023. If you do 50 basis points on Wednesday, you send a message to the entire free fucking world and to every asset market around the world that we are nowhere near the end. We are nowhere near the bottom and we are nowhere near the pivot. Now shut the fuck up and take your bitch ass back to work. But they won't. So, what's the second best thing? I think the second best thing, in my opinion, is they're probably just going to do 25 basis points, and at that point, it's all about the press conference. And at the press conference, would I expect Jay Powell, leader of the Federal Reserve, leader of the fucking free world, in my opinion, at this point in the game? I expect Jay Powell to come out there, and I expect him to whoop some ass. I expect him to take his fucking belt out. I expect him to get the fucking chancla out. I expect him to get the fucking, the fucking water hose. And I expect him to beat that motherfucking ass. I expect him to whoop the dog shit out this fucking market, out the economy, and out of this fucking bitch ass rally that we've been seeing to start off 2023. I expect him to beat some ass. I expect a motherfucking ass whooping. I expect a beatdown on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and most specifically Monday of next week. Now, time frame, time horizon. I expect Wednesday the market's going to be very volatile. First things first, the market's going to digest the next interest rate hike, whether it's 50 or what I hope for is 50. But if it's 25, it's 25. Okay, that's consensus. Fine, whatever. And it's going to be very volatile. I expect it to go up, down, all around. I expect this market to be fucking bipolar on Wednesday. It's going to go all over the place. So I don't really care about the stock market on Wednesday. His press conference will be towards the early afternoon on the West Coast time. If you're on the East Coast, it's going to be early evening. He's going to talk for about an hour, hour and a half before the stock market closes. But I don't really expect the real fireworks to begin until Thursday or Friday. I think institutional investors are going to listen to what he has to say. They're going to listen to what his guidance for 2023 interest rate hikes looks like. They're going to listen to any kind of hopes of a pause coming soon or a pivot coming second half of 2023. They're going to be looking for any indicator, any inclination, any signs, any hopes, any dreams. They're going to be clinging to every fucking word he says and how he says those words. And they're going to be looking for rainbows and unicorns. If he says anything that sounds positive, anything that sounds dovish, anything that can be interpreted as bullish, this market is going to start to erupt again. And after that, it's off to the races. But if he does what I hope he does, what I expect he does, and he comes out and he brings out the fucking, the chanclas, he comes out and he takes his belt off on the stage and he starts to beat that ass one more time, then yeah, I expect another tumble lower. And then after that, we'll see how Thursday, Friday goes. Cause I think, after his press conference on Wednesday, I think every institutional manager, every hedge fund manager, every portfolio manager on Wall Street is going to be calling each other up after Wednesday. I think a lot of them are going to talk to each other Wednesday night. I expect a lot of action on Thursday and Friday. And then, I think Monday is going to be the Super Bowl. I think Monday, let me get the date right for you guys. I think Monday, which is going to be February 6th, I expect Monday, February 6th, 2023. I expect that to be the Super Bowl. And whatever happens next week, Monday through Friday, whatever direction the market goes next week, I think that's going to be the direction of the market for probably the next 6 weeks minimum, maybe probably for the next 12 weeks minimum. Because again, at this press conference tomorrow morning, he is going to give his guidance for the first half of 2023. And everyone's going to be asking him, hey, how many more rate hikes do you think you guys need to do? What is your thoughts on inflation right now? Do you think it's going to keep going lower? Or do you think it's going to start to come up again? If it does start to come up again, are you going to have to go back to doing 50 basis point hikes or 75 basis point hikes? How far are you willing to take it? How much damage are you willing to inflict on this economy? How much damage are you willing to take on the stock market? What are your thoughts on the workforce? What are your thoughts on the labor markets? What's your thoughts on labor market participation? What are your thoughts on the unemployment rate? You guys have been saying for months you guys need it to go higher, and it refuses to go higher. Are you willing to whoop a little bit more ass to make sure it goes higher? Or are you guys gonna just fucking admit defeat? So to speak, which would basically hurt all small businesses in America. So I don't think they're going to be willing to do that. But the point is, they're going to be asking a lot of questions, a lot of serious questions about what the next few months looks like, and what they're willing to do and what they're not willing to do. And I think there's going to be a lot of important questions that need to get answered. What are your thoughts on mortgage rates? Do you think real estate needs to take, a deeper correction in order to get, home values down? Because in their opinion, there's still a lot of real estate inflation that needs to get resolved. Even though they can't build more houses. Good luck with that. There's still a lot of shit that they need to get done. And I think all the analysts are going to be asking a lot of questions that revolve around how much pain is there to go? How much further are you willing to take it? And are you willing to break some things, on your path to killing inflation? How much are you willing to sacrifice? How much pain are you willing to inflict? How far are you willing to go, and how far are you willing to take it there? And I think these are very serious questions that they're going to have to answer at this press conference. And he's probably going to answer some of them clearly. And I think on others, he's probably going to be very vague about, because he probably just doesn't have the answer to it yet. But there are going to be questions that they're going to ask him no matter what. And how he answers those questions is not just going to be his answer, but, the tone of his answer. If he sounds like he's willing to whoop some ass, or if he sounds like he's just lost and confused like Biden's dumbass, all of these things are going to play a role and play a factor on how this market reacts to it. So with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, those are my thoughts. I'm praying for 50 basis points, because I think that's what needs to happen. Again, labor market participation is still too low. Unemployment rate is still too low. Inflation is still too high. I get it. Inflation's come down a lot over the last 6 months, but it's nowhere near where they need it to be. They need inflation to be sub 2% on a constant basis. And right now we're still in the fucking sixes. And now there's a lot of leading indicators that are saying inflation is actually starting to tick higher again. And you're seeing a lot of commodity prices start to tick up again. So oil prices, gas prices are starting to tick up again. Why? Because the market is basically saying that they don't have the balls, they don't have the stones, they don't have the fucking cojones to take it there. That they're not willing to send this economy into a recession in order to kill inflation. But then you have these guys come out every press conference, and when they ask them what happens if we go into a recession, their first answer is always the same. We don't want to send the economy into a recession, but we believe that if we do end up in a recession, that's a price we're willing to pay, because we believe for the average American, inflation is actually worse than a recession. And if we go into a recession and end up killing inflation on the way there, then we're willing to accept that cost. We're willing to pay that price. And I know some of you guys are going to clap back and say, if this Federal Reserve sends us into a recession, they're all going to lose their job and get fired. Newsflash, bitches, if these bitches get fired on a Friday, they're going to have a brand new job waiting for them on Monday. Every member of the Federal Reserve, as soon as they leave the Federal Reserve, the first thing that happens is they all get hired by some institutional firm as a quote-unquote advisor for $30 million a year. So trust me, these motherfuckers got job security. It may or may not be with the Federal Reserve, but trust me, there's a lot of banks and institutions and a lot of hedge funds and institutional firms around the world that would love to hire them on their board as a quote-unquote advisor to the board, right? So trust me, these motherfuckers aren't worried about job security. They're going to get fucking paid no matter what. But ultimately, it's about how serious they are about killing inflation. Are they willing to send the economy into a recession in order to kill inflation? And I think the answer is yes. And that's why I think every leading indicator that tells you we're going into a recession imminently is flashing red right now. And these bitches just don't care, because I think killing inflation is that important to them, and it should be. Because I think for the average American, if prices stay as high as they are for most goods and services and rent prices and food prices, if prices stay at these elevated levels for a prolonged period of time, that's going to destroy a lot of Americans, because Americans are basically surviving on credit cards right now. So I understand their perspective, and I think they still have a lot more work to do, especially when it comes to the job market. There's still a lot of minimum wage jobs that are open because people refuse to do them. And I think if you're serious about getting people back in the workforce, and you're serious about making people take those minimum wage jobs, you're going to have to cause a lot more damage to this economy in order to force people to go back to work. Because right now, there's still too many bitches who are trying to live their best life. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. I'm going to be listening to the Fed press conference. I'm going to look at what's going on in the job market. I'm going to look at what's going on in the data. I'm going to look at what's going on with institutions. And tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you guys, and we're going to talk about what the Federal Reserve is going to do to this motherfucking economy. All I can tell you guys is things will go higher in the future, without a doubt, without question. But if you guys are spending your money on stupid shit right now, because you guys want to drink and smoke out with the homies, you guys are just trying to chase loose pussy every weekend, and you guys keep spending all your disposable income on stupid shit, then it doesn't matter if the bottom is in, it doesn't matter if the stock market rallies tomorrow, and it doesn't matter if everything 10x is 5 years from now. Because if you're spending all your money on stupid shit and you're not stacking assets, you're not stacking investments, and you're not loading up your portfolio, then it doesn't matter how much things are worth in the future, because you're not going to own anything. And 5-10 years from now, no matter how high Tesla stock goes, no matter how much Apple stock goes, no matter how much higher Bitcoin goes up, if you're not loading up right here, right now, and using your disposable income wisely and setting yourself up for early retirement, then 5-10 years from now, you're still going to be living paycheck to paycheck, hands on your fucking knees, still living at your mama's house. So ladies and gentlemen, this isn't just about the next 5 hours, the next 12 hours, or the next 24 hours. This is still about the next 5 to 10 years for your life, and where do you want to be 5 to 10 years from now? Ladies and gentlemen, you guys know the orders, you guys know the mindset, and you guys know the mentality. Ladies and gentlemen, stop spending your money on stupid shit and pull the motherfucking trigger! And thank you for listening to the one, the only, the motherfucking General. Magallon!